welcome to a Caymus compilation video. This has been a long time coming. The problem with it has been that I keep crying every time I watch the darn thing. But this is a compilation of photos and videos from his life, and these beginning ones are when we first brought him home. Caymus and Murphy came from Bluegrass Rags in Kentucky, and we were just looking to get one kitten. We were going to get Murphy, the one with the seal mitted with the blaze. However, my cat Rags, who is the reason I founded Floppycats.com, there's my sister with Murphy and Caymus, was 15 years old at the time, and so Cindy Carpenter of Bluegrass Rags suggested that we get two kittens, and my mom is partial to seal mitted, so we asked Cindy if she had another seal mitted, and she did. She had Caymus. So my parents got both of those cats, Murphy and Caymus, and then you saw the larger cat pictured with them was Rags. This is their dog Tucker. There's Rags again with Caymus and Murphy. And I ended up falling deeply, deeply in love with Caymus. I ended up living with him for a while because my situation with college and everything, I needed to live with my parents, and also my mom wouldn't let me take Rags. So I chose to live with my parents after college so that I could be with my cat. And that's how I really got to know Caymus and Murphy, because I was living with them as well. So then if I, ever was at my parents' lake house or something like that, then I spent a lot of time with him as well. This is Caymus hitting a toad that I had found. Oh, I miss that big lover. So that's Caymus in the background there on his back legs. There's my Rags at 18 or 19 years old. Clumpy coat, you can tell older kitties usually have clumpy coats. And that's... Caymus was so good to my Rags. He was very respectful of him, and Cindy at Bluegrass Rags told us that too. She said he would always be respectful of another cat because she knew he was a subordinate cat. Also, if you might have already noticed, he had a spectacular coat. It was exactly the epitome of a Ragdoll coat, just thick, plush, bunny coat. The feeling of his coat is nothing I've ever felt before, and I hope I can feel it again, because it's coming up on a year, but I'm publishing this video on his birthday, which was August 15th. He died December 12th, 2020, and unfortunately then we lost Murphy, his brother, playing with him here shortly thereafter. That was very unexpected, but Murphy died on 6/6/21. So it was interesting how Caymus passed on 12/12 and Murphy on 6/6. Caymus let you do anything to him. So here he is up on my feet. We're playing airplane. Not sure that he really enjoyed it, but I surely did. This is also a game I played with him frequently, where I would put a shirt over his head and then drag it. This is a game that I played with my Rags, and Caymus really loved it. And as Caymus's kidney disease progressed, it was one of the ways I knew where he was quality of life wise. Gosh, he was the biggest cat we've ever had. And you can tell that from there. He was 17 pounds in his prime. And he was tall and long and just a big boned cat. He was very overweight when he was just on a dry food diet, but my mom moved him to a wet food diet, and then he slimmed up, but still remained obviously a big cat because he's tall and long. This is when he met Charlie. I was actually surprised. I thought Caymus would be way more willing to meet kittens, but it turned out that Murphy was way more willing to meet kittens. So this is my 12-year-old Charlie, right? He's 12 years old now, but that was him as a kitten, scared out of his mind of this big cat. And Caymus was just as scared, I think. They ended up getting along fine though, because Charlie was a dominant cat and Caymus was a subordinate cat. There's many videos on our YouTube of them together. My cats, Charlie and Trig, and my parents' cats, Caymus and Murphy, would hang out together. And you can see here, this is Trig and Charlie as kittens and Caymus in the background. I often brought Caymus over to my house to spend the night for sleepovers because I loved him so much. I just wanted him around. Every birthday, every Christmas, I would ask my mom for one thing that I wanted Caymus. And I mean, how could you not? Look at him. He is so fantastic. I never got him, and rightfully so. He was my parents' cat, and he was Murphy's brother. And he and Murphy were very bonded, and I believe that that's why they passed so closely together, only 6 months apart. This is Caymus and Murphy playing at my parents' old house. In the computer room, I was on the computer and turned around and they're, messing around. It reminds me of dogs, like how dogs will play when their human is around and they're just excited that the human's there, so they just start playing. Pretty cute. Caymus loved catnip. Yeah, catnip banana was Rags' favorite, and so then it ended up being Caymus and Murphy's favorite because they were exposed to it all the time, and, well, it's just a darn good cat toy. It is my favorite cat toy of all time. Which you'll discover, too, if you ever watch our favorite products videos. This is my cat, Charlie, about a year old, smelling, and then this is Charlie in the foreground, Caymus and Murphy in the background. Caymus swimming. My parents used to have a pool at their old house, and so we put the cats in the pool to see if they could swim, and they could. And I just did the swimming thing because my parents' lake house, I figured if the cats ever got out and were in a stressful situation and ended up in the water, they'd know what to do. It's so hard to watch these videos and not want to just reach through and grab both of those cats. This is Caymus getting acupuncture. I mentioned earlier that Caymus was easy to do anything on, and that proved until the end. I was able to do ozone therapy, rectal ozone therapy, where I put, a tube up his bottom and expressed ozone into it, and then I injected ozonated saline in him, a number of things. So this is just an example of what he allowed people to do to him. He also loved rolling around in a litter box. Freshly scooped or freshly new, he didn't care, just as long as it was, there was no fecal or pee in there as far as he was concerned. He also loved food. He was an easy cat. You could get him to eat almost anything. There's my Dewey. It was a pleasure to feed him because he would always be interested in what you were offering and, look up at you with those eyes. My parents don't allow their cats to go outside, but my mom would let me, take him out for a couple of walks every now and again. So this was one of these times where I was like, Louie, let's go outside. It was in the winter when I knew he couldn't get fleas, where it was too cold for fleas to be around. So he always enjoyed his times outside with me. This was during one of our birthday videos, our birthday hat shoots. Oh, I miss his coat. I miss his body. Caymus was the epitome of a ragdoll. You had to pick him up with two hands, because if you tried to pick him up with one hand, he would fall out of your hand. He fit the breed stereotype completely. Alright guys, sorry I had a crying break there, and it's really hard to watch these videos because I miss him so much. I really adored that cat. This is a video that the vet took of him getting his teeth cleaned. I wanted to go back to what I was saying earlier, that Caymus is the epitome of a ragdoll in the sense of what they've, you know, the breed stereotype, that the reason they're called a ragdoll is because when you pick them up, they go limp in your hands. And that is exactly what Caymus did. And he also behaved that way at the vet. Just seeing his blue eyes right there was hard too, because his eyes, unlike my rags, didn't really change even close to his death, which he was euthanized. But his eyes, like, were always so awesome looking and so bright and beautiful. It was more his body language that changed, in my opinion. That was Caymus with my cats, Charlie and Trig. Caymus and Murphy were 5 years older than my cats, so I also cry a little bit thinking about my cats. Caymus and Murphy lived with a number of German Shepherds. I think by the time Caymus passed, he had lived with 5 or 6 German Shepherds, and this is him playing with Napa, who passed several years ago now. This is all 4 cats, my cats and my parents' cats. Here are my niece and nephew when they were a lot younger, and Caymus allowed them to be around him without a problem, which was amazing. That curling over that Caymus did was also a good sign to me when he was going through his kidney failure stuff. It was a good judge of his quality of life if he would do that if I pet him. I loved Caymus's meow. He never meowed very much, and then he went kind of bonkers. As my mom said, he kind of made up for it, no meowing. But he was exploring my parents' garage. I like to do stuff like that with him. This is Caymus, we're in Petco. He's not a big fan. He usually is a little bit louder though. And I never took him to Petco after that because he got so stressed out by it. He loved to rub his pheromones on things. Here we are doing airplane again. Poor cat. He was great to do airplane with though, because he was like a bag of potatoes. I mean, you could just set him up on your feet and he would sit there as long as you wanted him to. Such a cool cat. Here he is outside with my parents, Napa, and his brother Murphy. Oh, I miss that coat. I miss that body. I mean, it's just like plush, wonderful. I've never experienced a cat like him. I really hope I get another one like him because it's just fantastic. And I told him leading up to his death that I hoped he would come back to me, for those of you that believe in past lives. This is a video that I did wrapping him up as a Christmas present. Caymus would have been an ideal cat for me as a child because I would have done so many things to him. I did him to rags, like I put rags in Cabbage Patch clothes and stuff like that. This is my nephew Marshall petting Caymus. Caymus is just amazing what he would let people do to him. This is an example too I included in this video because he was obsessed with shoes. With shoes almost till the end. And that was a good sign too. I'm mentioning this kind of stuff because if you have a ragdoll cat and you've never gone through like end of life stuff, it's important to know and recognize and remember what they love, because when their quality of life goes, then you have a better idea of a decision you need to make. Here are some shoes again, because Caymus loves shoes. Whenever I saw Caymus, or when I came into my parents' house, I would sing a song for him. And that song was, I cook a new one, cook a new one, cook a new one. And I cook a new one, cook a new one, cook a new one. And now if I say that, because my cats have been around Caymus and Murphy and because they were with them at the lake, they, when I would say that, they knew Caymus was around. So now my cats will come running if I say that. This is my parents' current dog, Parker. There's a puppy. It's Caymus's third or fourth German Shepherd. Puppy-wise, he's been around other full-grown. My mom always gave Caymus and Murphy treats at nighttime, so that's that. All right, this Pet Stages play tunnel was his favorite. Oh man, he loved this thing. Mom got it when they were kittens, and he, as you saw, he just like went into it. Oh, I loved it. This was another example of something that I could use towards the end of his life to know, like, judge where he was, how he was feeling, because he always went crazy for that thing. And actually, after he was euthanized, I went down into the basement where that tunnel is at my parents' house and hugged it and cried. This is Caymus and Parker. Parker not behaving himself and Caymus trying to put him in his place. Caymus wasn't a big fan of dogs. He came to appreciate them, but in general wasn't a big fan. This is Caymus eating salmon. My parents never ever let cats or dogs eat from the table, and then all of a sudden when my parents became empty nesters and had salmon one night, Caymus was begging, and so it was like a new thing with my parents. But I was like, what in the world is going on? You're feeding your cat from the dinner table? But I was thrilled that they were, because he deserved everything and more. Another example of how good he was with kids, that's my niece Violet. And, you know, he just stepped out of the way. He didn't run away, didn't hiss or swat at her. Caymus and Murphy helped with several videos and stuff for Floppycats, but it was hard because it's easier with my cats because I'm with them all the time. There comes a point in time where you don't want a video anymore, you just want to enjoy the cats. But at the same time now, I wish I had more videos of him because I don't have him physically present in my life. God, this is body. Alright, so my mom and dad have always had spreads on their beds. And we had spreads on our beds growing up. So I would always play with the cats when I pulled down my spread at nighttime. So this was like a nightly routine, and Caymus loved it. So whenever we would go over to my parents' house later on in his life, in 2019 for example, you know, for family dinner or something like that, I would ask my mom if I could please hold, you know, her bed down because he had so much fun playing on it. And luckily I had my sister videotape it one night. This was at the lake, more catnip banana time. Catnip bananas, they're a big part of our lives. This is Caymus meeting a turtle a couple of years ago, found a baby turtle. Murphy and Caymus very bonded. This was Murphy kneading on Caymus's tummy. Here are all four cats together in 2019 at the lake. To give you perspective. Caymus just wouldn't hurt a soul. He was so cool. I always said to my sister I would put him in a room with a newborn baby. No problem. This is Caymus getting wrapped again for Christmas. He was such a good kitty. Now here come the renal stage videos. They're not in sequential order, but you can tell how skinny he got, and then like how, you know, it was just more difficult to walk and stuff like that. Although this time was very emotionally hard, it was so precious. It was so awesome. I saw him every day, twice a day. You can tell there he's got his big fluid boob from getting subcutaneous fluids underneath his skin. He got a bunch. We ended up switching to a different vet at the end of his life because I needed a more holistic approach rather than traditional, and then that's how we got into ozone and all that stuff. So here's me giving the ozonated saline. And then here's the rectal ozone, and you see just how calm he is. And then, I mean, he let me do so much to him. I learned so much from him, and then this is how I knew the ozone was working, is he was bunny kicking my shoes and eating well. So that's what made me continue on, and more bunny kicking action as well. Of course, towards the very end, there was none of that, but the fact that he started cleaning himself again helped me realize that the ozone was helping. You can see the massive fluid boob on his right side there. The holistic that we switched to had me really up his level of fluids, which I really think helped his longevity as well. Just helped him stay comfortable and hydrated. That was a bad poke on one of the fluid videos that we did. That was a bad day for Caymus, I'd say, like how he just kind of laid into me, but he did have good days. And his passing was very peaceful. He was able to pass at home. The vet came and euthanized him at my parents' house, which was really lovely. Thank you guys so much for watching. It has been a long time for this to be published. Been working on it a long time. I've not wanted to look at it because of crying, and although I wish I wouldn't have cried during the audio of this, I think it's important to know that grief is a long process, and you know, it can take years to get beyond it, or just, you know, learn how to live with it. So I want to always share that with readers and let them know that it's okay to still grieve 8 months later. It's okay to grieve 8 years later. If you still have it in you, grieve it, man. Alright, well, that does it for the video of one of the great loves of my life. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask, and hopefully we'll see you next time. Bye. Noose, you want to go? How come everybody shut you in here? Rude.
Hey, because that's what I'm doing.
Rude.
To find them.